Hello there. I'm John Patrick for the Atlanta Regional Commission. We're here with Tom Weyandt, ARC's Comprehensive Planning Director. Tom, we're going to talk about updating the Regional Transportation Plan. And if you live in the metro area, you want to know what's going on there for sure.
Transportation affects you every day, and the Regional Transportation Plan is our attempt to take a look at what should happen in all modes of surface transportation over the next 25-year period. So it's vital to our daily life.
Yeah, it's a $53 billion regional transportation plan, sort of a blueprint. Can you explain that a little bit further?
Well, there are a couple things we have to do. The federal law requires that we do a regional transportation plan in order to receive federal funds. But beyond that, it's important that we find ways to coordinate all of the types of transportation we have in the region, transit, highways, pedestrian and bicycle facilities, and to do that in a way that matches up with the financial resources we have available. In addition, we want to make sure that the transportation services that we put in place reflect the kinds of land development that we see happening in the Atlanta region over an extended period of time.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you should say that, because I think the average person thinks, transportation plan, new roads, wider roads. That's not it at all.
Not at all. About half of that money that we're talking about, the $53 billion that you mentioned, about half of that money actually goes to maintain the existing transportation system that we have. Repairing roads, repairing traffic signals, improving the bus services. So fully half of it goes to just making sure that the current system we have in place continues to operate efficiently.
And it's a critical element, isn't it, to the entire metro community, especially with the growth we're anticipating, you know, over the next few years.
Atlanta really exists because of transportation. We were here because the railroads came. We were among the first communities in the nation to build interstate highways. We built a new MARTA system before other communities did. Transportation is vital to our economy. We've been a hub of transportation throughout the Southeast and the nation. So continuing to improve that system is vital to making our communities work.
It's vital to every person who lives here, for sure. Now, federal funds, I understand, are not as sufficient as they used to be. And of course, we all know, like I just buy a house, construction costs are going through the roof. How will that, and there's a $4.4 billion shortfall or something like that. How will that impact the plan and the update?
Well, as you might imagine, when you have this kind of a shortfall, which is not a minor amount of money, we're facing actually having to cut projects out of the plan, really for the first time in history. We usually are in the circumstance when we're talking about how we add new projects because of new needs that we've discovered or change needs. Now we have such a crisis in transportation funding that the challenge now is to try to find absolutely the highest priority projects that are really going to give us the most productivity for the money spent, because we're going to have to cut out some low productivity projects.
So you're talking about efficiency then?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Finding projects, give me an example of a project which has one of these priorities. It's just an example.
Well, it's difficult to pull out one project because there's so many that are important. But we're familiar with some of the major projects that we have in the region. On the highway side, we know that there is a very significant project to improve I-75 North that includes not only highway capacity expansion, but also the opportunity to add some transit services in there. So that's an interesting corridor, high priority, very expensive, however, but it has the ability to help us both improve highway and transit service in the region. So it indicates the complexity we have in trying to balance all of these issues.
Well, you sort of touched on it, but what kind of challenges does the regional transportation plan face beyond, say, financial?
Well, financial is certainly one of the biggest ones. The other thing, I think, the next biggest challenge probably is how we created a truly multimodal system, because we need to find ways to give people options to their travel. We have constructed a system in this region that is largely requires people to be dependent on the single passenger automobile. So a challenge is, can we expand transit in a way that will be useful to a larger number of people in the region? And then there are a whole series of smaller projects, pedestrian and bicycle facilities, that help us move around in our neighborhoods or help us move around in our work activity centers in the Central Business District, in the Cumberland Galleria area, these major business centers. So the challenge includes how we integrate highways, with major transit services, and then these smaller types of projects to make for a complete system.
Yeah, so you've got to look at the microscopic as well as the big picture.
You have to look at the whole range.
How does the transportation plan affect the day-to-day lives of the people living? I mean, all you got to do is drive a car. But how does it affect the day-to-day lives of the 4 million people living here?
Well, to begin with, we need to think about the fact that we're going to be growing to 6 million people.
Oh, yeah.
So the day-to-day lives of all of us will be impacted even as we grow. The plan is the place where the region collectively, the local officials in the region and our own local government representatives come together to make these vital decisions that will affect how easily we can commute to work, how easily we can make our shopping trips to the shopping mall, how easily we can walk around our neighborhood. So it affects really every element of our daily life, at least the traveling part of our life.
Now, the individual person may not think that they can get involved, but they can, can't they?
They can, and there are many ways that they can get involved. I think in the first instance, they need to be involved in their own local community and their own local government, which is making transportation plans and is providing that information to ARC. We hold a series periodically, a series of public meetings around the region, and that's an opportunity for people to come out, get information, not only from ARC, but from all of our partners, the transit agencies, the Georgia Department of Transportation, local governments. And also I would encourage people to visit our website because they can provide direct input to us, and periodically we'll put some surveys up on the website that they can give us their opinion on.
That's great. Tom, thank you for being with us.
Good to be here.
For more information about the Regional Transportation Plan, visit the Atlanta Regional Commission's website, as Tom suggested, at www.atlantaregional.com.